Are cracking open the dossier on something pretty intense. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are cracking open the dossier on something pretty intense: elite college admission success. We've dug through a lot of material on the expectations, the real benchmarks, and those unwritten rules for getting into places like the Ivy League. Our mission today, let's keep it focused. We want to quickly pull together not just the academic scores, which, let's be honest, everyone knows are high, but those really crucial non-academic bits. We're looking for that switch, that moment an application goes from just, well, competitive to actually admitted. What's the secret sauce there? Okay, let's unpack this. And really, we have to start with the numbers. The cold, hard reality of scores, because they are essentially the ticket to even get in the door. If you're aiming for this kind of school, the test scores. Wow, the competitiveness is just, well, astounding. The sources are super clear. A good competitive SAT, you're talking 1,500 to 1,600 minimum. And for the ACT, it's pretty much the same story, typically between 33 and 35. That's the absolute top edge, statistically speaking. Just to give you a feel for how tight that window is, like, look at Harvard. Admitted students, the middle 50%, often fall between, say, 1480 and 1580. Brown's similar, maybe 1440 to 1570. So when the bottom of that range is already pushing 1,500,
Yeah.
we're talking about a level of academic performance that's just brutal. Okay, so those scores are the gatekeepers. Does that same kind of crushing intensity carry over when we look at transcripts? GPA.
Oh, absolutely. It does. But, and this is important, there's a key nuance here. Yes, great grades, strong GPA, totally fundamental. You have to have them. We see most successful applicants, their unweighted GPA is somewhere between 3.7 and 4.0. But the expectation really ramps up when you factor in the tough courses. If you're taking the APs, the IBs, the honors classes, basically maximizing what your school offers, your weighted GPA needs to show that effort. Competitive applicants, yeah, they're often hitting 4.3 or even higher. These numbers, they basically set the baseline. They get you considered, but they're not really the main point of the review. Yeah.
Right. That's exactly where I wanted to pause. You said the numbers are the entry ticket, but they don't guarantee you get in. So when an admissions officer sees that perfect 4.0, what's the next thing they look at? Are they immediately checking, like, how tough the high school was?
That's exactly right. And what's fascinating, I think, is that the committee isn't just asking what the GPA is. They're asking how you got it. This really gets to the heart of what they call holistic review. They're looking at your transcript through, let's say, 4 connected lenses, and the first 3 are all about pushing yourself.
Okay.
The first lens is course rigor. Simple question. Did you take the most challenging courses available to you? I mean, if your school offers, say, 15 APs and you only took 2, well, that 4.0 suddenly looks a bit less impressive than maybe a 3.8 from someone who took 10 APs and really pushed themselves. They absolutely want to see those demanding classes listed.
So it's not just about being smart. It's about actively choosing the harder path, seeking out that intellectual challenge.
Exactly. It shows academic ambition, which, ties right into the second lens, intellectual curiosity. Did you go deeper in subjects related to what you say you want to study? Like if you claim you want to major in physics, but you dropped science and math after junior year, that sends a mixed signal, right? They want to see that you're proactively engaging with the knowledge in your field of interest.
Makes sense.
Well, the third lens is consistency. They really value seeing strong performance across all 4 years. Sure, maybe that B in 9th grade English isn't a deal breaker, but a serious downward trend in junior or senior year. That definitely raises questions.
Okay, but what about the student? Maybe at a small rural school where they only offer 1 or 2 APs in total. How does the committee view them compared to someone from a huge, well-funded magnet school with dozens of options? Are they held to the same standard?
And that brings us to the absolutely crucial fourth point, the context of the high school. Admissions committees are very, very aware of this. They judge your performance relative to the opportunities you actually had. If you took every single advanced course your school offered and you did well, then you've met that rigor standard. Even if, on paper, your transcript has fewer AP labels than someone else's from a different school, they adjust for context.
That's a really vital distinction. So the academic part is more like a test of maximizing your own potential within your environment, not just hitting some universal number. Okay, so context helps get you past that numerical filter. Now, let's shift gears away from grades towards what happens outside the classroom. If the numbers are the filter, what are they really searching for when they turn the page to that extracurriculars list? Here's where it gets really interesting. Because let's face it, everyone applying to these places is probably president of something or captain of a team. The sources seem to suggest the focus shifts completely from just listing stuff to the actual quality and depth of development shown. Is that right?
Absolutely. We're looking for evidence of real investment you know, not just surface-level participation. The single most important thing seems to be showing a sustainable commitment, usually over several years. And crucially, this commitment needs to go beyond just showing up. It has to result in some form of recognition or validated outcome.
Okay, wait. Let's unpack validated outcome a bit. I can picture someone listening thinking, well, I volunteer at the local shelter every week. That's commitment. Why might that not be quite enough on its own?
That's a great question. It often lacks that extra layer of validation or maybe leadership or significant impact. What the sources point to is validation, meaning you either reached a recognized level of skill or mastery, maybe winning awards in your activity, state-level stuff is not like, or you turn that commitment into something bigger, community impact, starting something new, leading a major project, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's a difference between saying, I played piano for 7 years, which is nice, sure, versus I played piano for 7 years, I achieved grade 8 certification. That's the skill validation. And I used that skill to start a free tutoring program for local elementary kids. See, in the second one, the dedication is validated by both the achievement and the applied impact.
Got it. So the committee isn't just ticking boxes like music, yes. They're searching for early signs of someone who might be a future leader or an innovator. They want proof you don't just participate, you take initiative within your passions.
Precisely. And the sources do mention things like holding down a job or pursuing unique personal projects, things that show responsibility, managing time, real curiosity. These are valuable because they demonstrate that ability to turn interest into tangible results, into something real. Admissions officers are looking for proof that you don't just achieve academically, you also invest deeply and push boundaries outside the classroom too.
Okay, so if the numbers show you can do the work and the extracurriculars show you're committed and have impact, then the essays must be the place where you show them who you are. The personality, the humanity that the lists and scores just can't capture. This feels like the most critical component, doesn't it? Where your unique story, your values, your perspective gets to shine. It goes beyond the resume. It's the one tool for genuine self-revelation.
Absolutely. And the essays are, frankly, where a lot of otherwise strong applicants stumble, often because they misunderstand the goal. The goal is deep introspection, not just listing accomplishments again in prose form. We've looked at a pretty detailed checklist from the sources, and the standards are, well, high. First requirement. The essay has got to be truly authentic and personal. It needs to sound like you. It should reflect your real experiences, your perspectives, maybe even your vulnerabilities or fears. You absolutely have to avoid picking a topic just because you think it sounds impressive or, noble. If it doesn't feel genuine, believe me, they can usually spot it a mile off.
And I guess with the sheer volume they read, that first paragraph has to grab them immediately.
It's essential.
Yeah.
It absolutely has to be engaging from the start. You need a strong hook, maybe a vivid image, or just diving right into a moment. It needs to capture their attention right away. Remember, these officers read thousands of essays. You literally have seconds to convince them your story is worth sticking with. And this is where that old advice, show, don't tell, is just absolutely paramount. You have to focus on deeper themes. Don't just list what you did. Tell a story that shows what you learned, how you grew from an experience, how it shaped your way of thinking.
Can you give us an example? What's the difference between telling and showing in this context?
Sure. So a student writing, I learned teamwork while leading the debate club to a state championship. That's telling. It's flat. Compare that to an essay focused entirely on, say, the specific moment they realized they completely misunderstood a teammate's core argument and how that failure led to a profound shift in how they approached collaboration itself.
Right.
That's showing. That reveals self-awareness growth.
Much more powerful.
The essay also must be new, exploratory, and introspective. This is so important. If you already won the big science fair and it's clearly listed in your award section, please do not write 650 words describing the science fair project. The essay needs to demonstrate genuine self-reflection, maybe exploring a challenge or realization in depth that isn't obvious anywhere else in the application. It has to add a completely different dimension to who you are.
So the essay's real job is to introduce that part of your identity that you can't quantify anywhere else, that realization, that unique perspective, maybe even a vulnerability.
Exactly. Even if you tackle a common theme like overcoming an obstacle, you've got to bring a fresh take to it. It needs to be unique and memorable. The goal isn't just competence, it's to be unforgettable in a good way.
Makes sense.
And of course, while the content is subjective, the mechanics aren't. The sources are really strict here. The essay must be cohesive, logical, well-structured. And we really can't stress this enough. It absolutely must be error-free. Grammar, spelling, punctuation. Meticulous proofreading is non-negotiable. One typo can really undermine the whole thing.
And what about those tricky supplemental essays, the ones asking why our school specifically?
Ah, yes. Those demand absolute prompt responsiveness. You have to read that question carefully and answer exactly what they're asking. And crucially, you need to tailor that response specifically to that school's unique programs, values, or opportunities. Generic answers are obvious. You shouldn't be able to just copy and paste your Why Us essay from one application to another. If you can, you haven't done enough research or tailoring.
Okay. Phew. That's a lot to take in. So what does this all mean? It feels like our deep dive confirms that elite admission isn't just one thing. It's this really rigorous, multi-layered system. The top academic stats, the 1500 plus SAT, the 4.3 plus weighted GPA, taking the hardest courses, yeah, they're mandatory. They're the entry ticket. They prove you can handle the intense academic work. But getting in, that seems to hinge on demonstrating the context behind those numbers and showcasing a unique personality. And that comes through those validated extracurriculars that show real impact, and especially through deep, reflective essays offering genuinely new insights into your character.
Exactly. And maybe let's end with a final sort of provocative thought for you to chew on, something that connects all these pieces. Think about it. If admissions committees say they value essays that offer new, unquantifiable insights, and they specifically advise against just repeating the quantifiable stuff the awards, the score is already listed elsewhere, then the real central challenge for an applicant isn't just being excellent, because many are. The true challenge is identifying and then articulating that essential defining aspect of your identity. Maybe it's a core vulnerability, a defining realization, a unique perspective that truly separates you from the thousands of other applicants who also have perfect scores and long activity lists. It's that ability to articulate the unquantifiable self. That's what really seems to differentiate an elite applicant in the end.
Wow. A truly profound point about what it really takes to stand out when everyone around you is a high achiever. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the standards and strategies for elite admission success. Definitely gives us all something to think about, especially exploring that unquantifiable identity.